Ladies and gentlemen, we often hear about resilience as if it's an exclusive trait, a rare gift that only a few possess. But here's the truth. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's a journey, not a destination. And that journey, the road to resilience, is one that every single one of us can travel. But let's be honest, the road is not smooth. It is filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of deep doubt. However, those who walk this road don't just survive adversity. They use it. They grow from it. They transform because of it. The first step on this road is understanding that resilience is a mindset, not a fixed trait. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about being adaptable. It's about recognizing that life will challenge us, and instead of resisting the waves, we learn to surf. Resilient people don't avoid pain, they find purpose in it. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, they ask, what can I learn from this? Because pain without purpose is suffering, but pain with purpose is growth. We live in a world that tells us failure is the enemy. But on the road to resilience, failure is the guide. Every stumble, every setback is a lesson. Resilient people don't measure success by how often they stay standing, but by how quickly they rise after falling. Resilience is often misunderstood as an inherent trait, something you either have or don't. But that's not true. Resilience is a mindset, a skill, and a perspective that can be cultivated over time. It's not about being born tough. It's about choosing to be adaptable in the face of challenges. The most resilient people in the world weren't simply wired that way from birth. They learned through life's trials to develop a way of thinking that allowed them to keep moving forward, even when everything seemed to be working against them. Think about someone who has faced incredible hardship and still found a way to thrive. It's not that they never felt pain, fear, or doubt. They did. But they didn't let those emotions define their path. Instead, they made a conscious decision to use their circumstances as fuel rather than as an excuse to stop. That's the difference between resilience as a mindset versus resilience as a fixed trait. A fixed mindset assumes that struggles break people. A resilient mindset understands that struggles shape people. Resilient individuals train themselves to interpret difficulty in a way that serves them rather than defeats them. They recognize that setbacks are not personal failures, but part of life's natural rhythm. Everyone faces obstacles, but what separates those who thrive from those who remain stuck is the way they choose to respond. While some people see adversity as a reason to quit, resilient people see it as an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to develop strength they didn't even know they had. One of the biggest factors in developing a resilient mindset is self-awareness. When people understand their thoughts and emotions, they can challenge the negative narratives that often hold them back. Instead of telling themselves, I'm not strong enough, they reframe their thinking to, I haven't figured this out yet, but I will. That small shift in perspective changes everything. It turns obstacles into stepping stones and failures into lessons. Another important element of resilience is adaptability. Life is unpredictable. Plans fall apart. Unexpected challenges arise. Those who lack resilience resist change and struggle to cope when things don't go as expected. But resilient people have learned that change is not the enemy, it's an inevitable part of life. They don't waste energy wishing things were different. Instead, they focus on what they can control and adjust accordingly. They pivot, they innovate, and they keep moving forward no matter how uncertain the path may seem. Resilience also requires emotional regulation. It doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It means acknowledging emotions, processing them, and then making a conscious decision about how to respond. People with a resilient mindset don't let fear dictate their actions. They feel it, they face it, and they move forward despite it. Resilience is built through intentional effort. It's a mindset that anyone can develop with practice. It starts with how we choose to perceive challenges, how we manage setbacks, and how we push forward when things get tough. It's not about avoiding struggles, but about learning to navigate them with strength, clarity, and purpose. And the more we do that, the stronger we become, not just in the face of adversity, but in every aspect of life. Pain is inevitable in life. Everyone at some point will face hardships, failures, and losses. But what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise stronger is a deep sense of purpose. When people have a strong enough reason to endure, they can push through almost anything. Purpose gives pain meaning, turning it from something that paralyzes into something that propels. Think about individuals who have overcome tremendous adversity, people who have faced extreme setbacks yet found the strength to keep moving forward. More often than not, their resilience wasn't just about personal toughness, it was about something bigger than themselves. They had a purpose so compelling that giving up was never an option. That purpose could be a dream, a mission, a responsibility to others, or a desire to make a difference. Whatever it was, it gave their struggles meaning and made the pain bearable. Without purpose, pain feels empty. It becomes something people try to escape rather than endure. But when pain is connected to something meaningful, it transforms into a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. Athletes push through grueling training because they have a goal. Parents sacrifice for their children because love outweighs discomfort. Entrepreneurs endure countless failures because they believe in their vision. Purpose shifts the focus from suffering to growth. One of the most powerful examples of this is seen in those who have turned personal tragedies into movements that change lives. People who have lost loved ones to disease and then dedicate themselves to finding a cure. Survivors of hardship who go on to help others facing similar struggles. Their pain didn't destroy them, it fueled them. It became the very reason they fought harder, reached further, and created something meaningful out of their suffering. But purpose doesn't always have to be tied to something grand. Sometimes it's simply about proving to yourself that you can endure. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to be defined by hardships. Even in the darkest moments, there is always a choice to let the pain consume you or to use it as a catalyst for growth. Purpose gives people the strength to choose the latter. There's also a psychological shift that happens when pain is given meaning. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, people start to see themselves as active participants in their own stories. They stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? How can I use this experience to help others? Those questions change everything. They shift focus from suffering to progress, from despair to possibility. Pain by itself is just pain. But when tied to purpose, it becomes fuel. It builds resilience, strengthens character, and creates depth. The most extraordinary individuals in history were not those who never suffered, but those who found meaning in their suffering. They let their struggles sharpen them, refine them, and push them forward. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, it's about making it worth something. And when pain has purpose, there is nothing that can break the human spirit. Resilience is not about simply enduring hardships. It is about adapting to them. The people who thrive in the face of adversity are not necessarily the strongest or the most intelligent. They are the most adaptable. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how carefully we plan, things will not always go as expected. Those who resist change often find themselves stuck, frustrated, and overwhelmed. But those who embrace adaptability understand that change is not the enemy, it is an opportunity. When faced with obstacles, most people instinctively try to fight against them, holding on to how things should be rather than adjusting to how things are. But this kind of resistance only leads to frustration and exhaustion. Resilient individuals, on the other hand, recognize that change is inevitable and that their ability to pivot will determine their success. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, they focus on what they can do next. One of the most important aspects of adaptability is the ability to shift perspective. People who struggle with change often see unexpected challenges as personal failures. They believe that if something didn't go according to plan, it must mean they are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But resilient people see things differently. They understand that change is part of life and that setbacks are not a reflection of their worth. They are simply moments that require adjustment. For example, consider an entrepreneur whose business idea fails. A rigid thinker might see this as proof that they were never meant to succeed, leading them to give up entirely. But an adaptable thinker views failure as feedback. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, they see it as a lesson, an opportunity to refine their approach, learn from mistakes, and try again with a better strategy. This mindset shift makes all the difference in building resilience. Another key component of adaptability is emotional flexibility. People who struggle with change often experience intense fear, frustration, or disappointment when things don't go as planned. These emotions are natural, but dwelling on them can be paralyzing. Resilient people acknowledge their emotions, but don't let them dictate their actions. Instead of seeing change as a threat, they train themselves to see it as a challenge to overcome. This shift in emotional response allows them to stay focused and take productive action rather than being overwhelmed by negativity. Adaptability also requires a willingness to embrace uncertainty. Many people find comfort in predictability and control, but the reality is that uncertainty is a part of life. Those who can navigate the unknown with confidence are the ones who thrive. They don't need all the answers to move forward. They trust in their ability to figure things out along the way. Resilience is not about stubbornly pushing through challenges with brute force. It is about being flexible, open-minded, and willing to adjust when necessary. It's about understanding that change is not something to fear, but something to leverage. The most successful, resilient people are not the ones who never face adversity. They're the ones who adapt, evolve, and come out stronger on the other side. When we develop adaptability, we don't just survive life's challenges, we learn to use them to our advantage. Failure is often seen as something to be avoided, a sign of weakness or inadequacy. But in reality, failure is one of the most powerful tools for growth. Every person who has achieved something great has failed, many times. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but how they respond to it. Resilient people do not see failure as an endpoint. They see it as a stepping stone. The fear of failure holds many people back. It keeps them from taking risks, from trying new things, and from pushing beyond their comfort zones. But failure itself is not the real problem. The way people interpret failure is. Those who struggle with setbacks often internalize them, believing that failing means they are not capable or good enough. But resilient individuals have a different perspective. They understand that failure is not personal, it is simply part of the learning process. One of the most important lessons in resilience is recognizing that every failure contains valuable information. When something does not go as planned, it is an opportunity to reflect, adjust, and try again with a better approach. In this way, failure is not a dead end, it is feedback. A business idea that doesn't work reveals what needs improvement. A missed opportunity highlights areas for growth. The most successful people in any field understand this, which is why they are not afraid to fail. Take, for example, some of the world's greatest innovators, athletes, and entrepreneurs. Thomas Edison famously failed thousands of times before successfully inventing the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming one of the greatest players in history. Oprah Winfrey was once told she was not fit for television. If any of these individuals had allowed failure to define them, their success stories would never have happened. Instead, they used failure as fuel, learning from their mistakes and pushing forward with even greater determination. Failure also builds resilience because it forces people to develop problem-solving skills. When things don't go as expected, it requires creativity and persistence to find a new way forward. Those who avoid failure miss out on the chance to strengthen these abilities. They remain stuck in a cycle of comfort and hesitation, never realizing their full potential. But those who embrace failure understand that each setback is a test of character, a chance to prove to themselves that they are capable of adapting and overcoming challenges. Perhaps the most important aspect of failure is the confidence it builds over time. Each time someone fails and gets back up, they become mentally stronger. They realize that failure is not the end of the world, that they can survive it, and that they can learn from it. This mindset shift transforms fear into courage, making it easier to take bold steps toward new goals. Failure is not something to be feared, it is something to be used. Every mistake, every setback, and every rejection carries a lesson that can make us stronger and wiser. The road to success is paved with failures, but only for those who are willing to keep walking. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, it is about learning from it, growing because of it, and using it as a stepping stone to something greater. Resilience is often thought of as an individual trait, something a person develops within themselves to withstand adversity. While personal strength is important, the truth is that no one is truly resilient alone. The strongest people in the world, those who overcome immense challenges, rebuild after failure, and push forward despite hardships, do not do it by themselves. They lean on others, seek support, and build strong relationships that help them navigate difficult times. Human beings are wired for connection. From an evolutionary standpoint, survival depended on community. Tribes and groups worked together to protect and support one another. That same principle applies today. When facing adversity, having people to rely on makes all the difference. A support system, whether it be family, friends, mentors, colleagues, or even a community of like-minded individuals, provides encouragement, perspective, and strength during difficult times. One of the biggest challenges people face when dealing with hardship is the belief that they must handle everything alone. Society often glorifies the idea of independence, making it seem as though asking for help is a sign of weakness. But the reality is that seeking support is one of the strongest things a person can do. Resilient individuals understand that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strategy for growth. They recognize that sharing struggles with others, asking for guidance, and accepting help does not diminish their strength. It enhances it. Support from others also plays a crucial role in emotional regulation. When faced with difficulties, it is easy to spiral into negative thinking, self-doubt, or even hopelessness. But a strong support system provides a grounding force. The right people remind us of our capabilities, help us see challenges from a different perspective, and offer solutions we might not have considered. Sometimes, simply having someone to listen and validate our experiences can make a world of difference. Beyond emotional support, relationships also provide practical resilience. In moments of crisis, having people who can offer guidance, share resources, or provide assistance can be life-changing. Whether it is a mentor offering advice during a career setback, a friend helping with financial struggles, or a colleague stepping in during a difficult work situation, these acts of support reinforce the idea that resilience is not just about inner strength, it is about collective strength. Another key aspect of resilience through community is accountability. When facing setbacks, it is easy to lose motivation or feel overwhelmed. But being part of a strong network keeps people accountable to their goals and progress. A coach pushing an athlete, a friend encouraging another to keep pursuing a dream, or a support group reminding someone of their resilience. All of these interactions provide the external motivation needed to keep going. Resilient people also give back to their communities, strengthening their own resilience in the process. Helping others through their struggles not only reinforces one's own lessons, but also creates a sense of purpose, knowing that one's experiences and hardships can be used to support others turns adversity into something meaningful. Resilience is not a solitary journey. The strongest people are not those who endure alone, but those who build relationships that help them navigate challenges. Strength is multiplied when shared, and the road to resilience is always easier when walked alongside others. Resilience is not just about bouncing back from adversity. It is about having the discipline to keep moving forward even when progress is slow, uncertain, or difficult. The people who build the strongest resilience are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who show up every day, put in the work, and remain committed to their goals despite the challenges they face. This is the power of consistency. When difficulties arise, many people react emotionally. They either panic, overthink, or become paralyzed by self-doubt. In contrast, resilient individuals rely on discipline and routine to keep them steady. They do not let their emotions dictate their actions. Instead, they create habits and systems that allow them to keep moving forward even when motivation is low. They understand that success and growth are not the result of a single big effort, but the accumulation of small, consistent actions over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make when facing challenges is waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates based on emotions, energy levels, and circumstances. But discipline is different. Discipline means showing up even when motivation is absent. A resilient person does not rely on fleeting bursts of inspiration. They commit to a process. Whether it is training for a marathon, building a business, or recovering from a setback, consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. The power of consistency is also seen in how people handle failure. Many individuals, when faced with setbacks, become discouraged and stop trying. They let failure define them, believing that one misstep is proof that they are not capable. But resilient individuals see failure differently. They recognize that progress is not always linear and that consistency is about persistence, not perfection. If they fail, they adjust, learn, and try again. They do not let one failure erase their efforts. They continue to show up. Another key aspect of consistency in resilience is the ability to focus on small wins. Big goals can feel overwhelming, and setbacks can make progress seem impossible. But breaking challenges down into manageable steps creates momentum. A person recovering from an injury might not be able to run a mile today, but they can take a few steps. A writer struggling with self-doubt might not finish a book in a day, but they can write one paragraph. These small actions, repeated over time, build resilience by reinforcing the mindset that progress is always possible. Resilient individuals also understand the power of habits. They design their environment in a way that supports their goals, making it easier to stay consistent even in difficult moments. They set routines, create accountability systems, and remove unnecessary obstacles. Instead of relying on willpower, they create conditions that make resilience a natural part of their daily life. Resilience is built through action. It is not about grand gestures or sudden bursts of effort. It is about showing up, doing the work, and staying committed even when results are not immediate. The road to resilience is paved with consistency, and those who master this principle find that they are capable of enduring far more than they ever imagined. One of the most powerful traits of resilient individuals is their ability to reframe challenges. The way people interpret adversity determines how they respond to it. Some see obstacles as insurmountable barriers, while others view them as opportunities for growth. This difference in mindset can shape a person's ability to endure hardships, recover from setbacks, and ultimately thrive. Reframing challenges is not about ignoring reality or pretending that struggles don't exist. It is about choosing to see difficulties in a way that empowers rather than defeats. At the core of reframing is perspective. When faced with adversity, many people default to a negative mindset. They see failures as personal shortcomings, problems as unfair burdens, and obstacles as reasons to give up. But resilient individuals train themselves to shift their perspective. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, they view them as stepping stones. This simple shift in thinking can dramatically change the way people experience hardship. One of the most famous examples of reframing challenges comes from athletes who have turned injuries or defeats into motivation. A basketball player who loses a championship can view it as a devastating failure or as fuel to train harder and come back stronger. A runner who suffers an injury can either give up or use the recovery period as a time to develop mental strength and discipline. The difference is not in the situation itself, but in how it is perceived. Another aspect of reframing challenges is recognizing the hidden benefits in difficult situations. Many of the most successful individuals have gone through significant hardships that, in hindsight, became the turning points in their lives. A job loss might lead to a better career opportunity. A failure in business might teach invaluable lessons that lead to future success. Even personal struggles like heartbreak or loss can result in greater emotional strength, wisdom, and empathy. Resilient individuals do not ignore pain, but they actively look for ways to extract meaning from it. Reframing also allows people to take control of their narrative. When people believe that they are victims of their circumstances, they feel powerless. But when they reframe their situation as something that can be learned from or overcome, they reclaim their sense of agency. They become active participants in their own stories, rather than passive recipients of hardship. Resilience is not just about surviving challenges, but about transforming them into something useful. Life will always bring difficulties, but how those difficulties are interpreted will determine whether they become roadblocks or stepping stones. By mastering the ability to reframe challenges, people unlock an incredible source of strength that allows them to navigate adversity with confidence, adaptability, and a sense of purpose. Resilience is not just about enduring hardships, it is about believing that tomorrow can be better than today. Hope is the foundation that keeps people moving forward, even when circumstances seem unbearable. It is the belief that challenges are temporary, that setbacks are not permanent, and that possibilities still exist beyond the struggles of the present moment. Without hope, resilience crumbles with it. Even the most difficult journeys become possible. Hope is not blind optimism. It is not pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. Instead, it is the ability to acknowledge reality while still believing in the potential for positive change. Resilient individuals understand that difficulties are part of life, but they refuse to believe that those difficulties define their future. They maintain a sense of hope because they know that hardships do not last forever and that progress, even if slow, is always possible. One of the most inspiring examples of the power of hope is seen in people who have overcome extreme adversity. Survivors of war, disease, financial ruin, and personal loss often speak about how hope kept them going when everything else seemed lost. Even when the odds were stacked against them, they held on to the belief that their situation could improve. That belief gave them the strength to take action, to keep trying, and to fight for a better future. Hope also plays a crucial role in mental resilience. When people lose hope, they become stuck in a cycle of despair. They stop looking for solutions, stop taking steps forward, and begin to accept their struggles as permanent. But when hope is present, even in the smallest form, it sparks action. A student who fails an exam but believes they can improve will study harder. A person who loses their job but believes they can find a new opportunity will keep applying. Hope fuels persistence, and persistence builds resilience. A key aspect of cultivating hope is surrounding oneself with reminders of progress. People often feel hopeless when they focus only on what is going wrong, but by acknowledging even small victories, hope can be sustained. This is why journaling progress, celebrating small wins, and reflecting on past successes are powerful tools in building resilience. They reinforce the idea that forward movement is always possible, no matter how slow. Another way to strengthen hope is by looking at stories of others who have overcome adversity. History is filled with examples of individuals who face tremendous struggles but refuse to give up. Their stories serve as proof that setbacks are not the end and that perseverance leads to new opportunities. Whether it is an entrepreneur who failed multiple times before finding success, or a person who rebuilt their life after losing everything, these stories remind us that resilience is possible. Hope is a choice. It is the decision to believe that hardship is temporary, that growth is always possible, and that the future holds opportunities yet to be discovered. Resilient people do not ignore challenges, but they refuse to let those challenges define their destiny. They hold onto hope because they know that as long as they keep moving forward, better days are always ahead. Resilience is not a single trait or a moment of strength. It is a mindset, a way of approaching life that allows people to navigate challenges, grow from setbacks, and keep moving forward no matter the circumstances. It is built through adaptability, learning from failure, seeking support, maintaining consistency, reframing challenges, and holding on to hope. The road to resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about developing the tools to face it with courage and determination. Every person will encounter obstacles, but what separates those who thrive from those who falter is their response to adversity. Resilient individuals do not see challenges as roadblocks. They see them as opportunities for growth. They do not let failure define them. They use it as fuel to improve. They understand that strength is not about enduring alone, but about building connections that provide support and encouragement. Resilience is about believing in the possibility of a better tomorrow and taking action to make it happen. It is about embracing change, staying committed to personal growth, and never allowing temporary struggles to dictate one's future. No matter how difficult the journey may seem, those who choose resilience will always find a way forward.